Okay, so now that we are ready to sew, the first place we should be is right here where it says step 2, the pouch pocket. So we should take this piece. We can take off all of the pins. There is no markings or anything that we need from the pattern, so we can put that to the side, or you could even recycle it. And you should open up to one big piece. Now, as we work through this, you could really do this either way you want. However, you need to determine your right side and your wrong side. So you will have the side of the fabric that, I don't know, it's just like fabric. And then the other part is soft. I prefer the soft part to be like what touches my skin. So this would be the wrong side of the fabric, where this kind of like uglier cottony looking side is the right side, because this is what's going to be on like the outside of my hoodie. And then on the inside, it's the soft part. So I have had students do it both ways. I think it's easier to do it the way I described, but if you get backwards now, then you should just stay backwards the whole time. So the first line says, fold opening edges towards the wrong side, 1 centimeter, pin and press. So as you move through this, the white part of anything that you see is the wrong side of the fabric. And if you need to write that somewhere so you know, like the white is wrong and the gray is the right side, make sure that you know that, because everything that you see on here, all these pictures are going to be so helpful for you throughout the whole time, but you have to know that as you go through it. So again, the gray is the right side, the white is the wrong side. So this first step has me laying it open with the wrong side facing me, like this. And you know what? I'm going to give mine a little press because it's a little bit like rounded here at the top. You can kind of see it right here where it's not like lying flat on my table. So I'm going to give it a press that so it lines super straight. You are not allowed to do this like I am, but I am trying to do everything kind of in one area for this video. So I have an iron here. No, you cannot do this, so do not ask me. Okay, anyways. And if you do not know what 1 centimeter is, grab a ruler and figure it out. I'm going to do that. Ruler. So on the ruler, you have inches and you have centimeters. We are folding it over 1 centimeter. So you can kind of see we are just doing these 2 diagonal parts right here. So you can kind of see I have the diagonal parts. So you can grab some tailor's chalk and mark this if you want for a fold line. See. So basically what I want to see right now is the fold that you make equal 1 centimeter. So let me grab this so you can see it close up. It's going to be backwards because of the camera. You can see it's 1 centimeter the fold. And now I'm going to, you can pin it like that if you want so it stays, but we are going to press. It says pin and press. So that is why you do it, because you're going to move it over to the ironing board to press. I am just cheating the system a little bit because I can. So what this is going to do is hold it in place so when I go to sew, everything stays exactly where I need it to. And I'm going to do it again on this side. So you will see I have it pressed right here and I have it pressed right here. Now the next step right here says from the right side. So just that alone, I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to make sure that my diagonals here are still turned over. Oops, you can't see that. They're still turned over. They didn't flap back. From the right side, you are going to stitch close to the edge along the opening edge and stitch a second row of stitching about 1/2 centimeter from the first stitch. So if you look at here closely, you are basically top stitching right next to the fold, and then about 1/2 centimeter over, you are going to put another line. So these lines you will see. So if you look at the hoodie that I am wearing, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this. You can see, this is my pocket. You can see the stitching line right here. So this is essentially what we are doing right now. So you want to make sure that you get this as straight as possible. Okay, so it said to do the other line about 1/2 centimeter away from the other line. Now you don't necessarily have to use your seam allowances here. You can guesstimate, that's okay. I'm not going to be measuring. However, if you want a more accurate line, I know this is backwards, but so if you count, this is 0. Like this line that's coming down right here is 0. This line that's coming down is 1 centimeter. So 1/2 centimeter is this little guy right here. Okay. All right, I have now done both of my sides. So I have it like that. The back kind of looks like that. And I have the other side done as well. So it says now we want to fold pocket sides and pocket top. So the sides here where you can see the little pins, and then the top 1 centimeter. So the same as the other ones, pin and press. So just like our last step, now we are going to do the same thing with the top and with the side. So we want the wrong side facing up. And now we are going to fold in about 1 centimeter. And I'm going to check, inches again. I'm going to check, perfect, and press. Okay, and now I'm going to do the top. If it starts being where it starts folding up, like, I don't know how well you can see, but right here, it's not, even no matter how long I press, it's not staying fully down for me. And that is because I'm trying to basically like fold on top of other folds. Just pin it. You want it to stay nice in place, especially this project. Just throw a few pins in there so everything stays situated, and you can get rid of them as you sew. All right, so now I have everything pinned in place. Now I still have everything pinned in place. I have not sewn anything yet. But now with the right side of the pocket facing up, I want to place the pocket on top of the front of the hoodie. So you are going to grab your front of your hoodie piece. All right, I know I have the right one because it says front right here. So make sure that you have that. You can go ahead at this point, and I don't think there's anything I need to mark. Okay, so now it says that with the right side of the pocket facing up, place the pocket on the right side of the front of the sweatshirt. So I have the front side facing up. I have the fuzzy side towards the table here. We want to place the pocket on the lower edge of the front and matching the dots, pin in place. So what that means is, so I'm making a large. Right here on your pattern, it says pocket marking for hoodies. and then the sizes. So what you can do is you could just lay it right back on here because it is the same. You can see how it's half here. And then I could take a pin, put it right where that dot is, and just kind of rip it through the pattern. And I can just flip this over and do the same thing on the other side. That same hole, so it's, you don't see that same dot again, but you can see the same hole that you just made. Okay, so we want the bottom edge to line right up with the bottom, and then your top should match up with those two pins. So as long as you measured everything the same, you can see the kind of the creases in the fold I have match up. So we know it's right in the middle. And then these are the two pins I just had, and they are right near the top of the pocket. So I, whoopsies, did it perfectly. A+ for Mrs. Willie. These pins can go away because these are not necessary anymore. Now we want to pin this in place so it does not move. So I already have pins in here from the fold. I can just take these pins right out and use these pins again to pin in place. But we want to make sure now, I did not sew anything for this yet, remember. So I want to make sure that it's still folded how I need it to be folded and that I didn't accidentally unfold anything in this process. I'm going to throw a few pins in the side as well, so I make sure that stays in place. Now the bottom of this, when we are about to sew, the bottom is not going to look pretty. And that is because we will not actually cover the bottom until the very last step of the whole thing. So it says we want to baste the lower edge of the pocket. So I still have all this just pinned, and now we're going to put a line on the bottom. Basting. Remember, you should know what basting means by now, and if you don't, I don't know what you were doing during the last project. But basting, we are going to change the stitch length to 4, and we are going to do a large stitch here because it's a temporary stitch. It is not going to stay there forever. So I am going to start doing that now. To be so honest with you guys right now, that was probably the worst basting stitch I've ever done. So that's cool. But we're going to keep going. I'm going to change my stitch length back to 2 because I am not basting anymore. Holy baloney. I don't know what went wrong there. That was bad though. Wow. Luckily, it was just a basic stitch and it actually doesn't matter that much. We're just keeping it in place. So good for me. All right, so now we are going to, on the last step here for the pocket, it says stitch pocket sides and top close to edge. We're going to do it the same way that we did it up here. We're going to make one close to the edge, and then we're going to do another one about 0.5 away from the edge. So here, you're going to do 2 stitches here, here, and across the top. All right, so now I have my pocket all sewn on. I have my openings right here for your hands, and I have it basted on the bottom. 2 stitches over here, 2 over here, 2 up here. Boom. Now I am on the next step. So I'm done with all of the pocket and I am on step 3, the shoulders. Now I am doing the drop shoulders for the example, so I'm going to start right here. But if you decided to do the raglan, then you are going to start down here. I will not have this in the video, but if you watch this part, you might be able to figure out what I'm saying down here. But honestly, you probably should be able to figure this out at this point in the semester on your own anyways, but I am obviously here to help you if you have questions. But for this, I am going to now grab the back side of the hoodie. Okay, so I now have the back, so I can undo this. There is no markings on here that I need to make, so I'm just going to take it off now. Now it says pin front to back at the shoulder, so at the top here only. And you are going to do it right sides together. So I already have the right side facing up from the last step I did. You can see the pocket right here. So now I'm going to put the right side down. And now I'm going to flip it around so I can actually work. So at the top here, there's some notches. So I'm going to match the notches and pin. And I'm only doing right here and right here. All right, I've got a little bit bunched up here, but I have my pins here, and I'm going to sew at these same spots at a 1/4 inch. And if you don't remember where that is, I told you just a few minutes back in the video, so go back and look. For this next part, we are going to attach our sleeves to our hoodie. So you can grab your big sleeve one. There's no markings we need to make, so we can get ready for that. Now for this first step, remember you have 2 sleeves. We only need 1 to begin with because we are going to work with 1 at a time. So what you are going to do is you are going to open up this big piece that you sewed together just now. So the circle is in the middle. This is where your head eventually goes. And I am now going to deal with this little curved part that happens right here. It's a very slight curve, but there is a curve. So if you open up, I have string everywhere. If you open up your sleeve, you have this tall curve up here, and then it kind of gets smaller down here at the bottom. So we want to deal with the top tall curve. This is this area right here. So we are going to pin right sides together. So you see the curve I'm dealing with here, and then we have a curve right here. It's kind of like a puzzle piece. So you have notches that match up right here and right here, and we are going to pin in place. So we are going to, I have it laid out right next to it. Pick this side up a little bit so you're dealing with the right side. Pick this side up a little bit so you're dealing with the right side. And touch the right sides together and pin in place. The whole time we want right sides touching. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do the same little bit that I just did down there. I'm going to pin in place. And make sure you're putting the pin on the same side. So for example, my pin is facing me right here and it's facing me right here. I'm not switching it on the other side. Now I'm going to take the notches and make sure that the notches line up, which they do. And I'm going to pin this whole sleeve in place. Just keep going all the way down. As long as you cut it correctly, it should be accurate. So your finished product should look like that. Your notches should line up. There should be no big crazy sections of extra fabric. And now it says that you are going to stitch 1 centimeter seam. And you're going to do that for both the sleeve and that sleeve over there. I just finished my first sleeve. It's hanging off the edge there. I just flipped it over, so I got my head in the middle, and then my front and the back hanging off either side. And now I'm going to pin my other sleeve. So now I have my hoodie laid out, right sides together, so like inside out essentially, and it looks like an actual hoodie. You can tell I have my neck up here, and I have my bottom here, and then my two sleeves. So now we are going to line up the sides and the sides of the sleeves, pin and sew. So when I go to sew this, I'm going to start either on the sleeve end or the bottom end. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to try and do this all in one motion. So I'm going to turn the corner here. So you want to make sure that when you get to kind of the armpit area that you leave the needle down, readjust, and then keep going. Okay, so now you should have a hoodie that is all, it's still inside out, but it's all together. You can see the sleeves. You have no pins. It's all put together. You just have the bottom open, the bottom of the sleeves open, and then where your hood is going to go. All right, now we are doing step 5, the hood. I am doing the regular hood through the video. If you are doing the crossover hood and something doesn't make sense, just ask and I will help you. But essentially, most of the steps are honestly the same. So for this one, the first step is pin right sides together, pin hood pieces together as shown. Remember that white is the wrong side, so we're putting the wrong side or the right sides together. Stitch 1 centimeter seam, and you're going to repeat for both hoods. So for this, I have my pink hood, which is the inside of the hood, and then I have my white, which is the same as the hoodie. So we're going to start with the white, and for this first part, we are just going to pin the curved side. So again, we have right sides together. These are 2 separate pieces. These are not on the fold, so it's not one big piece. 2 separate pieces, pin and sew this line right here. Oops. Ignore that. All right, so now I have this folded together, and since we're doing a regular, or sewed together, since we're doing a regular hood, now we are going to make a hole for the drawstring, which I'm not gonna lie, it's honestly probably the most, I don't wanna say complicated part of the project, but there could be some trial and error. So I suggest practicing on a scrap piece first when I actually show you how to make the buttonhole. So watch this whole part before you get started. It's something that you've never done before and different settings on the machine. So you're just going to want to go slow and kind of practice first. But so what you're going to do is actually turn this right side out now. And so it's kind of open here, but we're just going to fold it down. And we're going to make some marks of where we want the buttonhole to be. So it says stitch buttonhole openings for drawstring on hood 1.5 centimeters from hood edge. You're only going to do this on one hood set. So you're only going to do this on your outside one, not your inside one. So you're still leaving this like other fabric to the side. So what I'm going to do is on your pattern piece here, it says gives you little markings for this as well. I am going to use this only for like the distance that I want it. So I'm just putting it back on top of my hood. I'm actually going to use a ruler, and I'm going to find the 1.5 centimeters, and I'm going to mark it from the edge, and I'm just kind of finding that how high up I want it to be, and I'm just going to make a small and a very small little mark on there, because we actually don't need it that big. So this is for a buttonhole, and if you think about it, buttons are a lot bigger than the drawstring that has to go through it. So this actually doesn't need to be that big. And then you are going to make the same exact mark on the other side, and I'm just going to kind of make sure it's the same height as the other one, 1.5 centimeters, and make my mark. And honestly, just being totally honest as the teacher, if you're going to mess something up, it's probably going to be this part, but it's okay. We're learning. So, all right, now to make the buttonhole, we are actually going to change this all the way to the end at 0 here, the red dot, and we are going to use these red pieces down here. So if you see, now hold on. If you see, these are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. If you see, each one kind of has a bolded line up here, because that is the bolded area is the part that this setting is stitching. So you're going to start here and do a few stitches as big as like kind of long as you want the box to be. Then you're going to switch to this one, and it's going to do number 2. This one you only need like 2 or 3 stitches, so go slow. If you go fast for this one, the machine is making really small stitches. Excuse me. So it will like and mess up. So practice going slow for this one. Then you will switch to 3, and it'll do the other side, and then it'll switch to 4, and it'll do the top of the box. So again, practice this first. It is a little bit of a trial and error type of thing, and you might even get it on the first try. If you do, great, but I mess this up too. Sometimes these machines are not perfect, as I have said about 500 times in this class. So, you know, just go slow and try your best. All right, so wish me luck. I'm going to start where my yellow dot is, and I'm going to start just a little bit to the left side of it because that is the first stitch. And now I'm going to switch to 2, and again, now that I've switched to the next one, I want to go very slow, and I only want like a couple stitches, and I want to end my needle on the right side. I did 3 stitches. Now I'm switching to number 3. And I'm going to go back up. And now I'm switching to 4. And I'm going to do 3 stitches. You know, not perfect. See, I actually went a little bit longer than I needed to, and my left side actually looks better than my right side. I don't even know if you can really see that, but I'm going to go back and now make my other side as long as the other side. All right, so I went back and fixed it. It is not perfect, and if I can't even do it perfect, I don't expect perfection from you, but my biggest suggestion is to go slow. The slower you go, The easier it is to control the thing, the more even all the stitches are. Go slow. This is not a rush. And make sure that you practice doing this first. Now I'm going to go do the other one. Maybe I'll do it better this time. Okay, I'm back, and I did my second buttonhole, and honestly, way better. Yay. We will then make the opening for this in a little bit, but not yet. On to the next. Now the next part says right sides together, pin both pieces or hood pieces together as shown. So we have, this one's already right side out from before. So now we can keep your other one just how it is. And I'm gonna open it. And again, right sides together. So the nice seams are touching. You are going to match them up. So you see you have like a hood looking thing here. You are going to pin these together around the front. This is this part of the hood right here. So we are going to pin, and we are going to sew at a 1/2 centimeter seam. Okay, I have it all pinned. So now I'm going to sew. Again, this is a 1/2 centimeter, so I'm going to move my little tape. All right, the next step says, we have it all sewn together. We have to turn the hood right side out. So through the bottom, you are now going to put it right side out. And kind of tuck the different color back inside. So this is kind of what your hood will look like once it's on your head. Pin along the edge as shown. Stitch 2 centimeters from edge to form casing for a regular hood or drawstring. So around here, we are going to pin it, and we actually are going to pin it because we don't want it to, if you remember with the pillowcase, I had to kind of iron it so it stayed in place. And so it wasn't like caving in or rolling out. So we're going to make sure that we're just going to pin it in place. And we're going to stitch 2 centimeters now from for your seam allowance to make the casing. So this is just a line across, and that's where your drawstring will go. So again, if you see how it's kind of laying here, let me get that out of the way. It's kind of laying here, and if I started stitching right now, this is taking up some of my seam allowance. So we want this to be like on the inside, and we want it to stay in place. So I am going to stick a pin right here. So then when it lays, it stays, and it doesn't look like, you see no pink right here, but you see pink right here. So this is keeping that in place. So I'm going to do that all the way around. Okay, so to form the 2 centimeter seam allowance, you are basically going to set this up right to the edge of the presser foot. So from here, the first like dash to the edge of the clear. So like right, oh, hold on, this is hard to do with one hand. That's where you want it. It's just the edge. You're basically covering this, the silver part and the button. And you are just going to go all the way around. And again, this is something that's going to be seen. So you want to make sure that you do it as straight as possible. Once you get to kind of where the 2 seams meet, like at the very top, you're going to make sure you want to kind of pull it through, kind of help it so it doesn't get stuck because it's just a little bit thicker. And so now you have your casing. So you can take out all those pins now and cut off your loose threads. Now the last step here says that we are going to baste along the bottom edge of the hood, basically just so it stays together. So this is not, oh my God, my hair. This is not super important in terms of like the hood coming together, but it's to make it even so when we put it on the hoodie, it stays on there nicely. So again, to baste, you should know this, you are going to switch your stitch length to 4. So all along the bottom. Okay, here is where things get a little complicated. So first we want right sides out for both the body and the hood. So I have my hood ready here. I'm going to get my body piece and turn it right sides out. Okay, we know where we have the front because we have the pocket. And it says right sides together. We are going to pin hood to the neck edge, matching the center back of hood to the center back of like the jacket, it says, or like the body. And we're going to overlap the front piece right here. You see how this one's kind of overlapped like that? We're going to overlap in the front. So what I suggest is, okay, I have the front facing out, and you have the back center. Okay, I'm going to take the bottom of the hood, so this is the top. I'm going to take the bottom center and match it up with the center back. This is right sides together, so it's actually facing like down right now. And I'm going to pin that in place so the centers match up. And now I'm going to bring around the 2 folds. So I have the basting edge right here that I did. And I'm going to bring these all the way around to the front before I do anything else. And I'm going to overlap I'm going to overlap about 2 centimeters, which is really the drawstring line here. So I'm going to overlap those and pin together. Okay, and oops. Now that part does get a little like chunky because you're really overlapping like 3 layers, so just be careful that you have enough pins going on. All right, so now I'm going to kind of go into the middle here. And now I'm going to do the rest. So I'm going to take the basically the basting edge up here, and I'm just going to try my best to pin the inside. Kind of doing like the 4 corners like we did with the bucket hat, and in future years if I'm not doing the bucket hat anymore, and that doesn't make sense to you, just let me know. Okay, so I kind of have my 4 corners of a circle done. And now I'm going to fill in all of the, like in between there. And it might seem like you have some extra fabric in there. And that's okay. It should spread out pretty nicely. But if it doesn't, let me take a look at it. But if there's a tiny little like overlap, it should be okay. And now it says stitch 1 centimeter seam, stitch a 2nd row of stitching close to reinforce the next seam, and serge or a zigzag. So we do not have a serger. What serging is, if you look like in here, you can see this is where it was sewn, but there's extra sewing here that kind of keeps it all together. We do not have a serger, so basically we're going to sew 1 centimeter around, and then you can sew again, either doing a zigzag or doing a straight line again. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'll figure it out. I'm going to do the first one. I'm going to change it back to 1 centimeter. And actually, what I'm going to do is take off this. Oh. So then my hood can kind of go underneath here as well, like so. You can kind of put it underneath. Okay, so I went 1 time all the way around, and now I'm going to do a zigzag seam just to get a little bit more reinforced. I'm going to do the one right next to the straight line, so it's kind of big. Now I'm just going to go all the way around again. All right, so now you can actually see 3 lines here. I have my zigzag, I have my stitch, and then I have my basting stitch too. That's this top one. So you can take out the basting stitch at this point. It is not needed anymore. All right, now we are on our very last step. Ooh, the ribbing. So this is right here, and then the bottom of the hoodie as well. So I'm going to start with the arms. These set of directions is the same thing for both the arms and the bottom. So I'm going to do the arms first. So that is just the little guys. So it says right sides together. So these do look a lot alike, but you can see this side, the kind of up and down lines are more prominent than this one. The prominent side is the right side. So right sides together with these lines going vertically. We're just going to fold it in half and stitch this line right here at a 0.5 centimeters. And I'm going to do that with this one and the other one. You have 2 arms, you have 2 pieces of fabric. All right, now I'm going to take one of these arm sleeves and I'm going to fold it. Make sure you get all the threads off. So I still have it wrong sides out, and now I'm going to fold it in half. Like so. See? Twins. Turning the ribbing right side out, fold in half lengthwise, what I just did. Now you're going to divide it into 4 equal parts and mark with pins, kind of like how we did with the hood. I'm just going to mark these 4 sides, so like the 4 corners of a circle. Now we are going to grab our hoodie. You're going to grab one of the sleeves like this, and you are going to do the same thing that you did. You're going to kind of divide it. I used all yellow. How perfect. You're going to divide it into 4 equal parts. So I'm going to start here with the seam. I'm going to go directly across. mark it. Mark it and mark it. Now, if you want to measure it to make sure it's all the same, that is also fine. Now we are going to, with the folded side down and the pin side up, we are going to put this over the sleeve. Now be careful because these pins could get you. And I like to line up the two seams just so it is a little bit nicer. So it says divide shirt and sleeve opening into 4 equal parts and mark with pins. Right sides together, place rib over shirt. Place rib over shirt, matching pins and making sure cut edges are even. So I am now going to match these two pins up, and I can take the pin out and now pin all these layers together. Now, the ribbing is going to be smaller than the sleeve, which is why we marked this. This way it all gets even, and that's why we marked these all together. And I'm going to show you a little trick with the sewing machine here in a second. Okay, so now I have it all marked and all together, equally apart. With the ribbing side up, we're going to stitch 1 centimeter. So I'm going to switch this again. Okay, and the nice thing about these sleeves, if you make sure you have your storage container off, the sleeve, and again, be careful because of the pins, the sleeve fits right over this. I'm going to go where a pin is not. So you just want to be kind of careful that you're kind of helping it along the whole time. But then you can start sewing and it kind of moves it all for you, which is really nice. But I am putting a little pressure here and helping it move through, because it is tight. And then you have a sleeve. So you're going to do that again with the other one, and I'll come back for the long one. Okay, just finished. Okay, now I have 2 arm sleeves done. And now we're essentially going to do the same exact thing on the bottom, just a little bit bigger scale. So your first step is putting right sides together and making that one line to make it a full tube. So it should be one long piece. And now I'm going to sew just this side together. So I'm going to throw a few pins in. And this is a 1/2 centimeter. So now we're going to do the same thing where we are going to mark the 4 corners of the circle. And honestly, I really liked how I accidentally, oh, actually, time out. We're going to fold it first. I'm going to fold it first, and then we are going to mark the 4 corners. And what I was about to say was, I kind of liked how I used all of the same color pin. That was not even on purpose, but I used all yellow for the first part. And then I used all pink for the second part, and I feel like it just helped me kind of keep things even. Like I knew what was what when everything kind of got bunched up, especially with those with the sleeves because they're so much smaller. Do you have to do that? Absolutely not, but I did think it was kind of nice. So I suggest it. All right, so I have my yellow pins here for this. And now I'm taking the bottom of my hoodie and I'm going to do the same thing. And now I'm going to use my pink pins. And honestly, this one should be, the bottom of the hoodie should be kind of easy because you have actually seams and fold lines to go off of here, but I still like to just double check. And yeah, perfect. A plus for Mrs. Willie. All right, so now I have my pink ones in. And again, I'm going to put the pins up, the fold down, and it's going to be on the outside of the hoodie. So I just got myself. So what I have been doing is then I take the pink pin out and I will re-put it in. And again, the ribbing is smaller than the hoodie fabric, and that is, I think, obviously on purpose. If you think about it, this is the sleeve, or the ribbing is kind of what keeps the sleeve in place when it's on your body. So we are just matching these all up. And you're going to essentially be pinning through 3 layers. So you just want to make sure that you keep it all nice and tight. Okay, and now you can go in between like 2 of these and throw some extra pins in there, because if you look at all this extra fabric right here, but again, it stretches. So you want to make sure that this stays stretched. So I can actually use these yellow pins that I have here. And you can even have like someone help you with this. They can kind of hold it for you like this in between the 2 pins, and you can throw some pins in there. And it'll kind of help you figure out where the pins need to go. Because once they're pinned, they stay in place. And I'm telling you, this one is a little bit harder to do on your own. So I can be your partner too. You can ask me for help. I can stretch while you pin. Now when you sew, you're gonna kind of want to make sure that you are kind of keeping this stretched out so you don't get any bunchy areas. And this, before when we did the sleeves, it kind of stayed stretched out for us. But here you can kind of see I'm holding it back here too to keep it stretched out. And voila. Yeah! Woo, you're done. Okay, I kind of lied. You actually have to put the drawstring in if you didn't do that already. So make sure you do that.